Welcome to the Missionaries Podcast. Stories from the mission field for everyone, for you to listen, learn, and enjoy. Your host for today is Martin.
Welcome everybody to this new podcast. This podcast is about, do you really need to leave your country to go into missions? Do you really? And we want to say welcome to our very special guest, Monica. Monica, welcome.
Hi.
How was your day so far?
Oh my goodness. I was on mission.
It's one of those days.
Yes, it was a great mission today because I was serving international people here in Poznań. I was tour guiding. Connecting my two jobs. So.
Yeah. I saw your resume. You worked as an au pair. You worked in travel industry.
Mm-hmm.
You worked in hotels in Poland and abroad. You worked as an international tour guide. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, I loved it.
You really did, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But today you were also some sort of international tour guide.
I am, for missionaries, mostly.
That's quite special. So things that you did in your past do actually work today?
Yes, traveling was always my greatest passion. Well, it wasn't like I always had to travel, but when I tried to make my dreams come true, to live abroad, to get to know cultures, places, I just loved it, working as a tour guide, traveling places. But, since I'm stuck here in Poland, sometimes I get blessed to meet people from abroad and to give them a little tour in the place where I live.
Yeah, I saw that you work for Bread of Life for the Bread of Life Foundation and also for the Poznan International Church. What are they doing?
Oh, where to start? Well, what they do? Well, right now, or what I was doing with them in the past? Because this organization Bread of Life, always tries to adjust what they do to the present situation. So, we don't stuck doing things that are not needed anymore. We always try to meet the most crucial needs of people at the moment. So right now we are focused on people from Ukraine, on the refugees, on the poor and unwealthy people from Poland, people who need food, who need some help with raising children. Well, we don't raise children. We give them Christian workshops, What else we do? We were involved in some public events. Well, last time we had this great charity concert where we were trying to raise funds for sick children. So we also have charity fundraisings. So basically what we do, we help people and we serve the Lord.
That sounds quite busy, to be honest.
We're busy every day,
Hey, you're from Poland.
I am Polish, yes.
Yeah, you're Polish. Well, I don't speak one word of Polish, so, we'll do the...
I can teach you.
No, thank you. We'll do the interview in English. That's good enough for me. But yeah, that does show that you don't have to go abroad to go into missions. I mean, you serve the Lord in your own country. How does that work for you?
Well, I think I am blessed because I was working for a couple years as a tour guide. I was living in different places abroad and I really loved it. Then when I came back to Poland and I was trying to find my purpose, God led me step by step through church, into missions. And then I was thinking okay, if I become a missionary here in Poland, am I able to still realize my greatest passion of traveling, And when I ended up in Poznan International Church, where you have people from all over the world, from different cultures, different languages, different points of view, where you can spend time with those people, you have this little essence of traveling in one place, because Poznan International Church is actually the whole world in one place. Well, you don't get to travel so often, but at least...
They come to you.
Yeah, they come to you and you can spend time with you. because actually in traveling, well, I loved seeing nice places, trying nice food, to get to experience flavors and smells that we don't have here. But the most important thing to me was to get to know people, to understand people, how they think, how do they see the world, how do they understand issues that were important to me. And, this is what I get here. I can meet people from different cultures. I can talk to them. And I think that gives me this feeling of satisfaction, when I cannot travel as often as I would like to.
Yeah, when you say that the Lord led you to do this sort of work, how does that work? How do you know that the Lord asked you to do this?
Well, you just have this feeling that you are in the right place. And this is something that I not always had. Sometimes I thought I'm getting myself into something I'm going to love, but the feeling you have inside is like, this is not for you. This is not the right thing. This is not the right place for you. And you were like, no, really, it's something that I should be doing. It's something that I can find myself successful at, and inside you get burned out, and then this is not for you. It's better to learn to obey this voice, this inner voice, quickly. Like when God closes the door, don't try to get in by window. And this is the feeling I get now. Like I feel content. I feel peace inside. I feel I have a purpose. I have something to do. And I don't doubt that what I do is good, that I am here to serve God. I am here to serve people. And I can be used, it makes me feel good.
Yeah, it's actually interesting that you say when God does close a door, don't try to open it anyway.
Yeah, you better. Some people have to learn it by experience, and no matter how often you repeat that, they still need to learn it by themselves.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those sayings. A lot of people say when God closes one door, he will open another one. Mm-hmm. Which is actually not a Bible verse. It's just a saying.
Yes, but it also happened in my case.
Yeah, and sometimes the Lord of God does close doors, and they better stay closed. That's actually a great one. I love it, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Hey, and now you're working for the Bread of Life Foundation. Today you worked as a tour guide. Which is one of the things that you also did in your past. So the things that you did in your past also help you these days. That's quite interesting, to be honest.
Yes. I mean, this is how a life works, You gain experience every day of your life. And sometimes you ask God, like, why do those things happen to me? Or like, do I really need to be doing that? But when you do...
Do you have an example for that?
Example?
Yeah.
Yes. Like what actually led me to this interest of traveling and being interested about places and people and the world, I grew up in Poland. I was born in 80s, and the situation in Poland was quite difficult. I never felt that my childhood was bad, because my parents did their best to make me feel loved and happy, and I think I was. But the situation in the country was quite tough, and people were not allowed to travel freely. But
the Berlin Wall was still up, or not?
No, it was just, post-communism, so like I didn't experience the toughest history of in Poland, but it wasn't so easy. Poland was completely something else back then. Like I remember days, months where we didn't have electricity at home. We didn't have TV. it was tough sometimes. Sometimes I didn't feel good to invite friends over to my house because it was quite embarrassing. But I was always quite happy as a child. The only thing was that some people got to travel. My parents could never send me places. And when those people were traveling, returning, I was like, tell me, what was it like? What did you see? Well, hotel was nice, pool was nice. And I was like, that's it? Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing else?
Yeah.
And that made me curious. I always wanted to travel. So, after I finished my high school, I got accepted to studies, tourism and leisure here in Poland. And then right away, I wanted to travel. So I took a break after the second year and I left the United States for 1 year. And yeah, I didn't want to just to travel, as a tourist. I wanted to live in places. I wanted to get to know the culture, go through some celebrations, some traditions, and like actually living abroad, not only traveling, gives you this opportunity to actually understand people's point of view better. Why do people do things? How do they do them? And the more I was doing, the more I wanted to know. But sometimes, how God closes the door, I came to Poland, I finished my studies, I thought I have everything situated, organized, I thought that I will know how my life will be like, I will travel, I will get married, everything will be perfect. No, but everything turned out to be different, I became a single mom, depressed in Poland. Before I was a single mom, I got in the darkest moment of my life. I was very depressed. It was just sadness,
Sounds pretty rough.
Very rough. Like it was the hardest moment of my life where it wasn't like I didn't want to live anymore. I wanted to live, but I didn't know how. I didn't know how to find my way. And, all I remember, it was like the darkness around me, and I know God was there. God was the only thing I knew at this moment. And he saved me. I think he saved my life because I had nothing to hold on to anymore, And I remember this call from a company that I applied to like 3 years before that. I just didn't accept the job back then because I was in love and everything was perfect. I thought I would never leave my fiancé for a couple weeks to go abroad. But, somehow they found my CV, my application. They said, we found your CV and we would like to interview you. So I went for the interview and they said, here is the thing. One person who was supposed to go to Turkey for a couple months to work just quit and we need somebody to go now.
Okay.
On the interview, I was pretending I was a very happy, smiling and
that's
cheerful person,
Yeah.
And they were like, you're perfect to do that. Inside I was hurting, the worst pain you can get. I wouldn't be able to survive the same pain again. I think it's like I was thinking that it's better to chop off my leg just not to feel the pain inside, like the pain of soul. But nobody could see that, nobody, like when you hurt inside and you put on the biggest smile, nobody can realize how much you're hurting. So they thought I'm perfect for the job. And they told me, here's the thing, you need to tell us today, the latest tomorrow, and you would need to go in 1 week.
Okay.
And first I was like, wait, I need to think about it, going to Turkey after spending so many weeks, months. I don't even know how much time in your room doing nothing because of depression. But then as soon as I got home, I hear this voice like, just do it. And I was like, this is maybe actually a way of God to save my life. Maybe God wants me to leave this place and start doing something. And that was it. I called, I said, okay, I'm going. I packed my bag and I flew. I didn't know, I didn't know much about Turkey at this moment. I mean, I never planned to go to Turkey. I was like, is it safe for a blonde a girl in her 20s to fly to Turkey. You know, I knew nothing. I just went. My job was, I was working in a hotel as an entertainer. It's called animation team. So basically, I was supposed to make everyone happy in the hotel. I was doing sports with children, children's club, you know. In the evening, I was doing some shows on the stage, like theaters, music shows. Later, we had to talk to guests, you know, like making sure that they are okay, that they are taken care of. And I had to smile all day long, you know, because...
How was that for you? I mean, inside, you were not the most happy person back then?
Inside, I was completely depressed.
Yeah, but you have to smile.
I had to smile all day long. In the morning, I had to smile, like, for all the children, you know?
Yeah.
They came on vacation.
That's part of the job, but still.
Yes. I mean, and, you know, the team, you know, there were many wonderful girls working together, but not everyone was wonderful. Some people were trying to give you a hard time as well, you know, so not everyone was sweet. The thing was that I was busy from very morning to late night. We didn't have much free time, and I think, well, I didn't know that back then, but I think it helped me a lot, that I didn't have much time to think about things that were painful. I didn't have much time to get depressed, to put those bad thoughts into my mind, you know, and just practicing smile changes your whole body. Just try it. When you feel depressed, just try to smile, you know. There were people who were supporting me a lot, people who were talking to me, people who were very friendly. God always puts the right people on my way. Wherever I traveled, I had some people who were trying to give me a hard time, but I always had those people who made a difference, you know, and that's what I love. Yeah.
But when I listen to it, it sounds like you more or less had the best school in life to do the work that you're doing now.
Oh, yes.
It was quite a rough school, but in retrospect, when we see what you're doing today with the Bread of Life Foundation, now you see a lot of people who don't have food, who are in a pretty rough spot.
Yes, suffering, people with depression, people who don't smile at all and they don't know how to put their smile on. They don't even know that it could help. People who don't... Well, the longer they stay on the street, the harder it is to change their life, you know, because they don't even know that by doing something, that by staying busy, they can change the way they feel about themselves, about their situations. Yeah. Well, later, after working as an entertainer, I became a tour guide. So, and also a tourist representative. So I was responsible, like I was representing a company and helping the customers. So, well, basically my job was to sell excursions, prepare people for their vacation, explain everything, pick them up from the airport, you know, get them situated. But then during the week, I was to solve all their problems.
And what do you do today? I mean,
right?
Today you're actually doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's for a different cause.
You know, true. And sometimes, more than that, I think that if not the hardest time of my life, I would think that problems, like little problems, can be very big. But it was so easy for me to take care of people's problems because I didn't see them as problems.
Yeah, you could put them in perspective, I guess.
Yeah, sometimes I was laughing inside. I'm like, okay, your bus was late. I mean, is it worth like spoiling whole your vacation? Like getting so miserable because of bus? Like,
yeah, if that's your biggest problem, that's a nice problem to have.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So like I didn't feel like their problems were real problems, and it was so easy for me to challenge it, you know, to change it with with a smile.
Yeah, so all in all, it does really sound that God prepared you to do the work that you're doing now.
I think so. Yes, I learned through difficult situations in my life. I learned a lot about myself, but especially I learned who God is and how much He cares, that He's faithful, that He never leaves me, and even if I mess up, even if I cannot find a way, He has a way for me. Very unexpected way, sometimes a way that I think is not for me, but it turns out to be the greatest blessing, because look, I got to travel. It was so unexpected. I got to travel, I got to meet people, I found myself successful. You know what? One breakthrough for me was when I worked in Mallorca, and it was miserable. I know it can be the greatest place for some people, but in my case, it was the best, the worst place, my worst season, and I wanted to leave. Of course, it's an island, and if I just could walk, I would, I don't know, I would
get out of there.
Get out of there. I felt a lot of mobbing, I didn't feel treated right. But I called to the former company that I worked for in Turkey, and I said, I don't think I like being entertainer anymore. My dream is to be a tour guide or travel representative. And they were like, you know what? One lady resigned in Corfu, in Greece.
Okay.
It's already middle of the season, so they all had schooling already. You've never worked as a representative, right? I said, no, I never did, but I'm sure I can do it. I just wanted to leave the place. They were like, okay, in 3 days, we can fly you to Corfu and you can start your job. I was like, yes. Oh my goodness, I was so happy and so excited. I had friends who actually helped me pack my bags and drove me to the airport.
Perfect.
And already on the plane, I felt it's gonna be good. Inside, it's God's leading, I was to receive job that I dreamed of without qualification at that time, without schooling. But I was like, who cares? I'm gonna make it. And after 1 month working there without any schooling, I was just intentional, and I was just doing what I thought I am supposed to do. Of course, they explained me, okay, those are your hotels. You're gonna they showed me my schedule, explanation of all that. I read some information about the island and the spots of interest. But when I had to deal with tourists, I was just doing what I felt I should. And I remember I found this one chapel on Corfu in one hotel. And I remember before the office meeting, I went there to pray. And I was thanking God that He brought me to this place because, although there were holes in the road and some buildings missed elevation, the painting, it wasn't like Mallorca where I flew from. Mallorca is everything is posh, everything is perfect. Corfu was more like homey place. I was so happy to be there because people were just wonderful.
What a difference.
I was welcomed so nicely. Wherever you go, to restaurant, to hotel, people give you a hug. They treat you like they know you, and they treat you like you are welcomed.
When you say, or you said that you went to a chapel, I bet you prayed your socks off when you were in a pretty bad place. How does prayer work for you in times when things don't go as planned?
You just those moments of silence where you believe that God is there, but you don't really hear back. Sometimes you don't hear back from God because the answer is not what you want to hear. Sometimes you don't hear back because you don't know how to read God's voice. But sometimes you need to wait. you know, and in those darkest moments, I just felt presence, but I didn't get relief. Prayer wouldn't give me any relief. I had planned for God what I want Him to do for me to feel better. You know, I was like, God, please do this, please do that, please do this, please do that, you know, and then I will feel better and I will be so thankful, but I need that to survive. I never got what I asked for, but God actually found another way for me, right?
And it sounds like He gave you something better than that you actually asked for.
Well, I don't know, because back then, you know, I thought that what I lost in life was everything that I cared for, you know. So like, I don't know, like if what I got back, probably it is better for me, you know, for my development, for my life, and actually that it led me to full-time ministry. If I held on to the other thing in my life, probably I would never end up as missionary, you know. I would just have a regular life as a wife. Maybe I would travel. Maybe I would have a beautiful house with all my dreams come true. But, you know, then maybe you miss something, you know.
That's the thing,
life.
right? That's the thing. I mean, very often we think I would like to have a bigger car or new wheel hubs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at God's plan...
it's so different.
Yeah, it's so different, and it's very exciting, actually.
Well, you know, but when I look back on my life, so many situations where I thought, like, God, I would like this in life. And actually, now when I look back, He actually gave me those things, but in such an unexpected way that I didn't even realize, okay, I have it already, you know. I prayed about those things. Well, I can give you an example. I remember when I stayed here in Poland and I was trying to find a job, you know, after so many years working abroad, I thought I have great resume, you know, and everyone will want to hire me. But my international experience didn't mean much here, because back then in Poland it was a very weird system of employing people. You had to have experience in particular field, you know. The fact that you worked abroad, you could solve thousands of people's problems.
It didn't count?
Yeah, you could be independent for years, you know, finding yourself, like changing location, like every 6 months, new life, you know, new chapter, because you change home, place, the people around you, everything. It didn't count, you know. So it was so hard for me to find a job. And I remember I was working nearby here. I was working, trying to work as insurance agent. Don't do that ever. Oh my goodness. No. Well, I was trying, you know, like they told me I'm going to be successful in that. So I believed, you know, no, it wasn't for me at all. But I remember we had one schooling, and the guy told us to put on a list things that we would like to achieve in life, even if those things seem impossible. And those had to be material things. Okay?
Yeah.
So I remember on the first place I would like to live in a house. Today I live in a house, you know, and it was also God's planning, like the way I moved from my former place and things. Today I have a house, and when I think about it, wow, back then it seemed impossible. Well,
in retrospect,
yes, there's so many situations like that. I prayed for something, and today I think like, wow, I remember one time I prayed for something that I have today, and it's so normal for me.
Yeah, that's the thing. We very often take it for granted, and we don't even see it actually.
Mm-hmm. But the thing I wanted to tell you, like from the time where I was praying in this chapel when I lived in Greece, you know, the way God made me feel worth something. You know, I didn't have like my self-esteem was very low at that moment, you know, like I didn't feel worth much. But then I went to the office. We had this board with points, like we were getting points for everything we were doing, you know, you could slide up and down your picture. I looked, my picture was very high, and I was like, I didn't pay too much attention to that. And then, like, my boss took me on side and to talk, and he asks, like, Monica, did you see how high you are on the board? And I'm like, I thought somebody just lifted, to make me feel good. He's like, Monica, this month you sold the biggest amount of excursions on the
Amazing.
island. You have very good, many cases of solved problems. For them, it was important that the problems were solved on the spot, not when people come back home, because it was much costly, later to solve problems. So he told me that I have like one of the biggest amount of solved problems percentage, and I was awarded. I got extra money for being the most effective rep on the island. Wow, that made me. I knew, like, before I went to pray, and suddenly I go to the office and I feel, wow, you can't imagine this feeling, like you do something without schooling. Others went through the schooling. I was like fresh off the boat, and just do your job the way you feel. And wow, this award, I felt so special.
That's quite a gift from God.
Yeah. God also put the right people on my path. In every hotel, people were so kind, so sweet, and they were trying to also please my guests. Like whenever I had meeting for tourists, they would bring drinks, Polish flag colors,
Perfect.
They would
so
do everything so my guests feel good, So I always had people behind me who were doing so much that helped me a lot. Wow. It was all in God's hands.
And now you're doing the same for other people.
Yes.
Amazing, right?
Yes, I like to give back. Well, I remember the situation in Mallorca when I had those two people who drove me to the airport, helped me. I didn't have car. I didn't know how to get to the airport, and it was on the other side of the island. I was so thankful. They were like, no, Monica, don't mention. It's okay. We want to help you. We know how bad it is for you. Then when I lived on Corfu, I was driver for everyone, I was rep, so I had a car, by the company. But in each hotel, there were entertainers who didn't have car, and they needed it. Sometimes they needed to go places. So I had day off once a week. So I was taking reservations, like who is going on a tour with me, So every day off, I had car full of people, and we were just traveling around the island. Sometimes people had to go to the airport, I have many people that just jumped to my car on the way because they just needed a lift. So I was like, yeah, this way I can give back.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? If you always had a perfect life, you don't know how important a car can be.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how important a smile can be.
Yes.
And you don't know how important a hug can be. It's the simple stuff, and that's what you learn through. Well, that's what you learn through pretty rough patches in your life.
Tough situations
But
create tough people.
Yeah, but in retrospect, thank God for the rough patches.
Yes.
I mean, He prepared you in a amazing way to do what you do now with people who are having a pretty rough time right now.
Yes, I think because I was judging myself, and I felt pretty bad about situations I couldn't handle in my life. But today I think differently. I think those difficult situations in your life shape you, and you can really find your strength and strength that God gives you through those difficult situations,
That's actually a great one to end this interview.
Yes.
Let's be honest. It's the rough patches that actually, at first they look like rough patches,
Mm-hmm.
and you sometimes even hate them. But in retrospect, God wants to use them for His glory,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can be more effective for His kingdom.
Yes, amen.
And I want to thank you for the interview, Monica.
Thank you for having me.
It was great having you here. For more information about Monica and her work with the Bread of Life Foundation and PIC, look at the description of the podcast, and we would like to thank you for listening. Please do like, subscribe, follow, or whatever, and hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Missionaries Podcast. For more information about this podcast and how you can help us, visit www.emmy.pl. God bless, and keep up the great work for His glory.